All right. So today's class is on personal organization. What we're going to talk about, for most of the time, we're going to talk about how you keep yourself organized, what the tool is that you utilize to keep yourself organized. We'll talk a little bit about how I use Outlook to keep myself organized, just as an example. We'll talk a little bit about time management. There's a whole other class on time management, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then at the end, we'll talk about file management on your computer, because that's very important with all of the information that we are trying to manage, especially in positions like Stevens, Cameron's, and Leo's, and myself, trying to manage all that information and be able to access it quickly. While you have somebody on the phone trying to get them going again on their job, be very critical. So even as a sales rep, trying to be able to find the information that you need without having to call a manager or call Steven can be very, very, very valuable for you. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well at the end. Okay, so rule number one with organization is to set goals, and this can be not necessarily goals about organization, but just your business goals. Okay, business goals, personal goals. This is a very important organizational step to have them written down. Now, for Cameron and myself, we have to write them down from a business perspective. That's part of our job. It's one of our requirements as a manager around here to have written down, have specific action steps. For most of the employees around here, we have them write down business goals. I'd also encourage you to write down personal goals. And of course, the format, the SMART format's been around for a long time. Most everybody's heard that. Specific, measurable, attainable, rewarding, and timely. Or I actually put rewarding there, but it can be relevant. Is something that's actually important to you or to the organization. Okay, so the most important are specific, measurable, attainable, and timely. There's going to be some kind of time frame on that. Okay. All right, the tool that you have and the goals that you have written down should be in your organizational tool. The tool that you have, you need to keep all of your information in one integrated system. Okay. You have information arriving in a variety of different sources. You got voicemail, you got memos, you got email. You know, organize it all in one place, all in one spot. Okay. Second rule is it needs to be a mobile tool, something that you can carry around with you. The rule of thumb is that if your organizational tool is ever out of your reach, you're doing it wrong. Okay. If that organizational tool is ever out of your reach, then you're doing it wrong. So that's one of the big reasons why the smartphone has come on so strong in the business world in the last few years. Smartphone being something that not only offers you the information media, the voicemails and the phone calls and the emails, but also gives you a personal organizational tool all in one. Now, there's tons and tons of people out there that don't use it as a personal organizational tool. They should. They really should. So if your personal organizational tool is ever outside of your reach, you're probably not using it as effectively as you should. Okay. And then the last rule is you need to customize the system to your needs. Okay. Whether you use it, whether you're using Franklin Planner or a electronic tool or just note paper or whatever tool you're using, you need to customize it to whatever meets your needs. I'll give you some examples of what I do, but Cameron's needs are going to be different from Allison's needs, which are going to be different from Karen's needs. So you're going to have to be able to work with that particular system and customize it whatever you need. Okay. So those are the three rules of whatever tool you use to keep yourself organized. The content, these are consistent. It's amazing the consistency between all the different types of tools you have out there. The content is the same. There's a to-do list or a task list. There's a calendar, contacts, and daily notes. Okay, it's very consistent among all the different planning systems. So the to-do list, you can prioritize it. I don't necessarily prioritize mine. I keep mine basically prioritized by date or due date. Biggest thing is you need to keep the to-do items or the task items moving forward. So if you don't get them done today, quickly and easily move them into tomorrow or next week or sometime in the near future. Okay, so that's the biggest thing is keep them moving forward. And then the second item there is the calendar. Golden rule in the calendar is that you can only have one calendar. period. One calendar for yourself. Okay. I see people try to use a desk calendar, then a wall calendar, and then an Outlook calendar, and unfortunately, our systems aren't quite up to speed. We should have. In fact, I think actually in the current version of SalesLink, you can synchronize your calendar with your SalesLink calendar. The guys on the phone, the sales guys that are on here, if you don't know how to do that, let's talk about that, because I think you can do that. Then you should be able to manage your time basically exclusively off of your Outlook calendar if you want to. And as a sales guy, that's pretty important, because you really need to have one calendar. All right. And unfortunately, like I said, our system kind of force the sales guys to put different calendars. You've got your SalesLink calendar and your Outlook calendar, and they really need to be looking at one. Third thing, and of course, again, with the smartphones we have out there today, this is not as big of an issue. A few years ago, a lot of people would keep all their contacts in their phone and not keep them in Outlook, and it's very, very dangerous to have all your contacts just in a phone, because if you lose your phone, if it gets smashed, done. And these contacts need to be in Outlook or in your system, in your tool, wherever it's at. And if it's an Outlook, then it's backed up in 3 different spots. I don't know if everybody knows how Outlook works, but with Outlook, you have a copy on your hard drive, you have a copy on your smartphone if you have a smartphone, and then you have a copy that's on the server back at IT. So if your computer crashes, you still have all your Outlook information. Smash your phone, you still have your Outlook information in 2 different spots. And I'd say it's like 1,000,000 to 1 odds that their server is going to go down, computer is going to go defunct, smartphone is going to smash all in the same day. So you're pretty safe in having all that, those 3 different spots. Okay. But keep your contacts. If you have Rolodex, migrate them into whatever tool you've got. If you have a phone, migrate those contacts into whatever tool you're using to organize. You're going to want that information. You're going to want your contacts in the same spot as your organizational tool, because you're going to be looking at tasks. Okay, I need to contact so and so. Boom, switch right over, get a hold, and find that person's phone number. Okay, you want that all in the same thing. Daily notes. I wrote a couple of examples of daily notes. This is the way. That's the way I do it. Is the 2 main topics that I keep record of is phone calls I need to make. Actually, a lot of times those go on my task list, and mostly phone calls received or voicemails received. What I put on my daily notes. Or if there's something else I need, a conversation with somebody, I just need to record that day that we talked about something, or whatever it was that happened that day. Keep a log of your daily notes. Someplace other than a sticky note, preferably, other than a sticky note, or a notepad on your desk. Something that's searchable would be nice. And whether that's your paper tool or your electronic tool, you can search that either way. You go back to the days and search for it. Okay, but preferably not a notepad that you're going to throw away in a week or 2, or that you don't use every day. Okay, so those are the 4 basic components of the content. Very consistent. Amazing how consistent this is. Okay, we talked about the different options, and again, I'm a big proponent of the electronic option. The last one we'll talk about, but for certain people, especially for guys that are on the road every day, sometimes the paper option is just a simple notebook. Paper is really great for them because they can just jot things down. Okay, so you're looking at notebook paper, and if you're a sales rep, and this comes straight out of the PASCAF book, which those of you guys that are the new sales reps, I need to write that down and have you guys take or read PASCAF. Put that in my. But this is straight out of the PASCAF book for a sales rep that's on the road every day. And basically what you do is you take a piece of paper and divide it into four different corners. Okay? You got a to-do list, calls to make, people calling me, and then appointments I've got. So as a sales rep, this can be very effective. If you're on the road sales rep, this type of notebook paper organization, that's fine. That works. Okay? I think it's going to cause some extra copying because you're going to have your appointments on SalesLink or your appointments on Outlook, but that can be pretty effective. It's very simple, right? Something very simple you can do real quickly. Okay. Going to look at Franklin Planner now. I was right before the meeting here. I was searching for a better image of the Franklin Planner layout, but you can see again, has the same basic content we talked about. Okay? Prioritize task list, you've got a calendar, you've got daily notes right there. Right? And then in the back, you've got all your contacts in the Franklin Planner. So anybody who's ever, the Franklin Covey Planner was kind of the original master organizational type of tool, and there's the same things. There's the same basics, right? Task list, daily schedule, daily notes. Now, one of the challenges somebody has with this particular system is you've got to hand copy everything over day after day. So if you have some task items on here that you didn't get to that day, now you have to flip the page, start copying them over. Okay? Here's another example of clear copy of the Franklin Planner. Okay, so what I'll spend a little more time on is Outlook. I think that's probably what most people are going to use to keep themselves organized. Like I said, any of the systems is fine. But I'll spend a little more time on Outlook. I'll sit down with my computer here and go over. Questions so far? Okay. So I'll go through emails. Again, the basic components you've got, for those of you that went through the Outlook class with me, this is a little bit redundant. Mail, calendar, contacts, task list, and then down here, notes, which keep my daily notes in one category here. Okay. So same basic components. Go through your email here. Your email, one of the things for some of the higher, if you get a lot of emails in a day, so for like sales managers or the sales coordinator or even the marketing coordinator, Leo, you're going to get a lot of emails per day. Try to decide what you're going to do with that email in 10 seconds or less. That's your goal. Is this something that I need to reply to? Is this something I need to read and then discard? Is this something I need to file away someplace? What do I do with this? Okay. So you can get overwhelmed, and the rule is that your Outlook inbox is not an organizational tool. The email system is not an organizational tool. Okay. Now, Outlook is encompasses all of these, but emails themselves, flagging them for follow-up, that kind of stuff, not an organizational tool. Okay. You can help yourself if you're getting overwhelmed today on your emails. You can help yourself by staying ahead of it, but that's not your exclusive organization. Okay. The calendar, we've talked in the Outlook class. We talked a lot about the calendar and how to use it. You can go through, set up different appointments. Like I said, there needs to be one calendar. For those of you that share calendars, you can look at multiple calendars at the same time. I can look at Vicky's calendar and my calendar. And for us, like, want to get really fancy, what we've done is we set up a family calendar. We've got on Vicky's iPhone and her iPad, she has her calendar as well as our family calendar. I can access our family calendar at work, add stuff or look at stuff. So I know. So that now I know what the boss has planned for me on the weekends, right? But a lot of the iPhone and the iPad do a great job of merging multiple calendars together, as long as you have them in common systems, and putting them together in one format. Again, that's fine. I mean, you got like a birthdays calendar where you keep all everybody's birthday on there or something like that. And as long as you're using the iPhone and the iPad all the time to merge those calendars together, you effectively have one calendar. Okay? It gives you multiple places to try to maintain it, but it does give you one calendar. Okay? The only challenge with that is that none of us are using an iPad exclusively yet. I don't know that we'll do that necessarily in the future, having an iPad, in and of itself I think laptops still have tremendous advantage over iPads. There's a lot of things iPads can't do that. But from a calendaring standpoint and an email standpoint, it's a wonderful tool to manage a calendars. But so you can put, a different calendar on here if you want to. But from your personal organization here, you need to have your one calendar. Contacts, we talked about this in the Outlook class as well. All your contacts in there, that synchronizes with your phone. The biggest one that I get a lot of questions on is the task list or the to-do list. So we'll spend some time on this, okay? So, like for example, plan on putting together a business case for Allison to be full-time. We've had her on part-time here for the last 6 months. Time to make this full-time. She's working 40 hours a week, okay? Vicky's clapping. So I've got this as a to-do list, or as a task item. It's been up there for a little while. I asked Allison to send me her hours for the last several months. So all I did was I copied that file over and dropped it in my task item, okay? So not to get too much in depth with Outlook, but if you grab something, open up this, as an example, if I open up this, you can attach files in here. Everybody do that. You can drag a file in here. Either insert it, okay, or you can just drag it over. If you want to, just drag pretty much anything, okay, put it in there. Or you can make notes. Okay, then you can save it. Okay. So if this item, I want to follow up with this on tomorrow. The way I've got my task list organized is that if I put the due date future from today, then it disappears. If it's past due, then it's red. And if I want to follow up on this tomorrow, click on the 28th, set that there. But when I click off of it, it disappears. Tomorrow, it'll reappear on my list. Okay. Once I mark it complete, if I mark something complete, then it disappears off my list. The file information is still there, so if I ever need to go back and search for it, I can find it later on. Okay. The way I had this set up, had to set this up, was with a filter. Now, I knew this question was going to come up, and I should have prepared myself for this. So bear with me here a little bit. I believe what's that? There. Here we go. Sorry. View settings. There we go. Under view settings and the filter. Okay. So I've got this set up under filter. I went to advanced. And I had two filter items. Pretty simple. Complete equals no, and due date on or before, and you can actually type in today as the value in here, right here. So you can select fields from here and set up your filter that way. Okay. So let's go back to there. If you guys want to set this up. Go into view, and I think this is folder. View. Go into view, then view settings. Okay. The other thing I did was I set up these columns as complete, subject, and due date. So I have a fairly simple list here. Complete, subject, and due date are the three columns. And then I put a reading pane. What's that? What lines? These right here? I don't have to mess around with this a little bit. As far as getting the settings all correct. I believe this is the reading pane in there, right? Yeah, right reading pane. I think that will set it up like this. Do that, right? Turn it off. And like I said, if you go to View Settings, you can change these columns. So put different columns in there. Better put this on vibrate before my phone starts ringing. You can put, like I said, you can put different columns in here. I like to keep mine simple. You want to put your start date in there or whatever else you want to put in there. I like to keep mine just complete, subject, and due date. And then put a filter in there. I sort them by due date. Okay. Then under the filter, I go to advanced. I put in two fields. I put in the complete right here. You can put in under frequently used fields. Complete. And then due date are both in here. So if I want to do this, I can remove this one, remove this one. Okay, so now they're all in there. Okay. Everything that's future, past. Okay. And then if I go under View Settings, I can put my filter in here. Under Advanced, frequently used field, complete equals no. Add to list. Field, frequently used fields, due date. On or after, on or before. On or before today. Add that to the list. On or before today. Now you can move things like this, put that into today's task list. This is an email that I copied over. Okay. So I can move this to tomorrow. Right? So I can organize all these. I've copied this in. I need to call this company and ask about our fence. And I personally merge personal tasks and company tasks because to me it doesn't. I don't want somebody working on personal stuff all day long. But if you got a couple of things you need to do, most of these companies like that dog fence place, they're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and well, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'm here. So I kind of have to call them during working hours. Questions on this? This is kind of for me. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of my task organization, task management. You know, and I've got a lot of things on here that are past due, way past due. So I got to go back through and clean these up. I know, like this one here. I know we already did this, so I'm going to check that off. Okay. This one I already did. I keep up on some of these. Okay. Then we talked about the notes in the Outlook class. So for those of you that were here, I keep a rolling 12 months of notes, and this is really super handy, especially for let me look here. Somebody from last November. Gordon Mills. Here we go. So I want to look up last conversation I had with Gordon Mills. Not only does it pull up that particular note, but then it highlights it for me and shows me where it's at. Under view, should be under view. Correct. Yep, go under view and then, oops, sorry, reading pane to the right. And if you want to take this, like if you're done with this particular search, you can click X right there, cross it out. The downside is now it expands all your notes to search through all your notes. Right. The question is this is not, or the comment for clarification is this is not a task list. Correct. This is not a task list. This is just. Now, there are times when, like, as an example here, I keep a running list of things. When I go to the shop, I keep a running list of things I need to pick up at the store. Like down here. I need to get a tire pressure gauge. I need to get some drywall. I call them drywall hangers, so they're basically the drywall screws. And then you get something for the string trimmer. So I keep those. So when I'm at the store, if I need, when I'm out in the shop, I put it in my phone. So the next time I'm at the Home Depot or my Tractor Supply or whatever, I'm going to go, what else do I need to get while I'm here? Okay. Correct. So this one from last time, when we picked the dog show. This is things I've learned about working on our invisible fence. I know I'm supposed to have 32 ohms of resistance on the entire fence. What? What invisible fence? Not yeah. Well, see, that's why I put all these notes in here, is because an invisible fence for dogs. I mean, if they get broken or they have a partial break, it's hell to try to troubleshoot. But now that I'm good at it, it's not a big deal anymore. But I had got some notes on how to do this, and I made a little tool so I can roll out a test wire and roll it back up. Anyhow, so I've got all the notes in here that I keep. How I did that. Okay. So. Okay. Questions on the notes? Daily notes portion of it? Nothing too sophisticated. Correct. Yeah, you can. I think you can share email with somebody. I think you can share email with somebody if you want to. I think you can. I don't exactly know how to do that yet. I know there's a way to do that because I know Kathy Kish does a lot of Doug Clark's emails. She'll send out emails on behalf of Doug Clark. But most common is the calendar that we'll share with one another. That's right here, sharing a calendar with somebody. Okay. Okay. So that's the example. Questions on that? On the Outlook example? Like I said, that synchronizes with your smartphone if you've got one. I think everybody's got one except for you, Allison. If you've got, do you have an iPhone? Where on the iPhone do you? Steve, do you remember where to find the? Oh, right here, right here. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Notes. Yep. Notes. Those notes right there are synchronized in Outlook. So, for me, the notes are pretty handy, especially if I've got all my voicemails written down in a day, and I'm driving home. I got a half-hour drive to get home. I have all my voicemails there, and I can make sure all my phone calls have been returned by the end of the day. Because usually when I'm typing out those voicemails, they're leaving a phone number, so I'm typing the phone number in there. And then on the phone, all you have to do is just click on that number, and it calls it. So very nice. Okay. Any other questions on the smartphones and using Outlook? Okay. Good habits for personal organization. Schedule 10 minutes every day to plan. Yeah, not doing that right now myself, but I need to, right? Should be at the beginning of the day. Sometimes at the end of the day if you need to, but I would strongly recommend you do it at the beginning of the day. Never have your tool out of your reach. Never have whatever it is you're using to keep yourself organized. Never have it out of your reach. Okay? Put all your tasks and calls on your list, even the small ones. And this is I fall in and out of practice on this one, but even the small tasks, something that take you 5 minutes, put it on your task list. Here's reasons why. One is you may forget it. It's easy to remember. You can relax your brain and move on to other things. Rather than trying to remember that, you can relax your brain and concentrate on work that's at hand versus trying to remember that, oh, I need to do this. Number two is for those of us that are task-driven, which most of us in the room are, it's just really fun clicking them off. It gives you that sense of accomplishment. It gives you some momentum. So you want to go knock out the next one, right? So you can knock out a couple of tasks on your list, and you're like, yeah, I'm cranking them out today. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really actually works. I mean, it really will get you motivated on your task list, get a couple of them knocked out. Next thing you want to do some more. So put even the small ones on there. Don't just put the big complicated ones on there. Put the small ones on there. Schedule your email time. Oh, this is one thing I didn't do in the Outlook class. So I meant to do this in the Outlook class, and I forgot. For those of us that get pounded with emails all day long, okay, let's say you're sitting here and you're working, and under send and receive, right here, you can go here, and you can work offline. Okay, so you can still have your Outlook open, and you won't be pounded with all these emails that are coming in at you all the time. So you can leave that offline. You can do, as I see Karen's been accepting my meetings in our training here. Thanks, Karen. So I'm going to delete all these. Right, take some of those out, take that one out. Okay, take a couple of these off. That knocked down. And when I'm done, see how this says working offline? Folder last updated at 9:01. I can click this. Now it's going to connect again. You can see the status right down here. So if you're home and you're working off, off of your network at home, check the status bar. This will tell you. And I just got another email. Right. So this will allow you to work offline. You can work on your task list, work on items here, right, without getting just inundated with emails all the time. So what the recommendation is that, especially if it's a heavy email day, to schedule your email time. And it's amazing how effective this can be. Turn it off for a couple hours. Maybe not even a couple hours. I mean, a half an hour is amazing how fast you can get some things done if you're not getting distracted by all these emails popping up. Okay, so turn it off. Send emails, work on your task list, read emails that are sitting there, whittle it down, then turn it back on, go back online, and let it synchronize. Right, all the emails that you sent, like if you set up emails, it'll be sitting in your outbox, and then when you synchronize again, then it'll send them all and receive all the ones that have been waiting for you. It's a really, really good organizational tool. Okay. I recommend that some of the managers, especially during the budgeting season, or for Stephen, like at the end of the month, phone call, same way. There's an appropriate time to say, I'm just going to have to let you go to voicemail and call you back. Okay. So now you got to be careful with that one. You got to be careful with emails. You can't leave them off all day long and then not, ignore those calls. I don't think we're going to have that problem within our group, but there's a danger there of going overboard with it. But there's an appropriate time to let those things go over and then call them back later. Okay. Don't waste your time on unnecessary activities. Whatever activity you're doing has to support your goals. That's why it's important to write the goals down. It has to support the overall goal. Okay? So talk a little bit about the time management matrix, and like I said, there's a whole other class on time management. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey published this time management matrix. Oops. He published this time management matrix, okay? And there are 4 basic quadrants. There's 4 categories and 4 quadrants. So you've got items that are important and not important, items that are urgent and not urgent, okay? And people tend to live in one of these 4 quadrants, okay? We're using quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we'll go from reverse order. Number 4, we don't have many people that are in our group in quadrant number 4. You know, those are your slackers. Those are the people that, you know, they spend all their time logging on the internet or doing whatever, playing video games at home. They're 30 years old, living in mom's basement, right? Kind of people. We don't really have many of those here, but if they just get wrapped up in busy work, surfing the internet, mindless TV shows, you're wrapped up in quadrant 4. Okay? Quadrant 3 is where a ton of people spend their time. Lots of people live in quadrant 3. They allow themselves to be interrupted all the time. They're working with emails all the time. They're dealing with other people's emergencies, taking unnecessary phone calls. Lots of people end up in quadrant 3. Okay? And they think they're indispensable. They think, man, I'm really doing a lot. And they end up getting stuck in quadrant 3, dealing with other people's emergencies. Okay? Right. You end up, you think you're really valuable. You think you're really doing the right thing, and in a lot of instances, it's very urgent, but not that important. Okay. So that's the tough part, is dealing with this is very urgent, just not as important. Okay. Quadrant 1, I'll skip around here a little bit. Quadrant 1 are truly crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects. Okay, truly urgent and important items. Okay, those are things you try to just manage. They're going to happen. The higher you go up in responsibility, the more they're going to happen. Just try to manage those as best you can. The best way to manage them is to focus in quadrant 2. Okay? Planning, relationship building, identifying new opportunities. If it's your health, then it's exercising. But I use the example, and there are several examples I've got here, but you know, if you talk about your health, lots of people sit there and think, well, I should be exercising more. I really should be taking care of my body. I should be eating right. I need to go over there and get my medicines that, you know, would get my cholesterol in line, and they never do. I'm too busy for that. Too busy for that. Well, there's going to be a day where you're not too busy for that, because you're going to end up with a heart attack. You're in the emergency room, and then you're not too busy for that. You're actually dealing with the quadrant 1 type of activity, because you're going in for heart surgery at 45 years old. See people like that, Cameron? 40s, in their 40s, had a heart attack already? You got a manager here at this company that went through it. In his 40s, he went through a heart attack. So he deals with that on a regular basis. And if he had just taken care of himself and spent more time in quadrant 2 activities, he would be more effective every day, because that damage is irreversible now. He can never go back and get his original heart. He can never go back and get his original circulatory system that he used for so many years. Okay. Another example I used was when we moved into our house. I had my barn built at a time. Any farm kid would build his barn first, right? You got to build the barn. You can live in the barn, you just can't put cattle in the house. You know what I mean? See, that's the way I look at it. But anyhow, so I had the shop built out there, and I had all these woodworking projects in the house that needed to be done. We had cabinets that needed to be built, and everything else. And I'm out there building a 10-foot by 5-foot work table made out of 2x12s. 4x4 legs. I mean, this thing is like weighs like half a ton, right? I'm out there building my work table, and Vicki comes out and says, "What are you doing?" I mean, you got all these don't you think there's other things that are more important than building this work table? Well, there are. More urgent than building that work table, but probably not as important, because every project I do is laid on that table, and it's going to cut my project time on all the rest of those projects by 20%, because it's at the working height. I can lay out a 4x8 sheet of plywood on my 5x10 table, rip it down and cut it up the way it's supposed to be cut up, versus working on a concrete floor or on sawhorses, which takes a lot more time. I can clamp it down to a table. I don't have to worry about, pulling on it or whatever, because it's not going to slide around and weigh about 1,000 pounds. Okay, that's a quadrant 2 type of activity. So take the time to stop and do these things, do these activities, get yourself organized. Okay, it takes time to get yourself organized. It really does. You're just going to have to stop every once in a while and keep yourself organized. Okay, don't get sucked into living in an urgent mode every day. There are times you're going to have to take a break, step back, and work on this. Now, if you're living, especially in number 1, you're going to end up going over here, quadrant 4, just to relax. Okay? So somebody who's completely stressed out, they end up spending their non-urgent time, anytime they have, they typically spend over here. And alcohol is oftentimes included in quadrant 4. They end up watching TV, drinking at night, drinking heavy, just trying to relax, trying to unwind from the day. Okay? So if you end up living in this quadrant, you're going to end up spending more time than you probably need down here. Okay? Not the surfing the internet's a big, it's not a big deal in and of itself. Nothing wrong with that. But if it's taking up a lot of your time, you got to figure out why you're doing that, what you're going to do with that time to make it more productive. Make sense? With me? Okay. So again, this quadrant 3, biggest thing to take away here is that this quadrant 3 is where tons of people spend their time, end up getting sucked into that vortex, thinking they're important, thinking they're contributing, and in a lot of ways they are. They are helping other people, but in a lot of ways they're allowing other people's emergencies to drive their day. And there's a polite way to say no. There's a productive way to say, I'd like for you to do this and this before I'm going to help you out, right? And everybody that's in this room can easily get sucked into that vortex of having other people dictate your time with their emergencies. Okay? Questions on that? This is pretty core to the whole concept of personal organization, because you have to stop and spend a little time in quadrant 2 to keep yourself organized. Okay? Last thing I want to talk about is file management on your computer. And this is, again, a quadrant 2 type of activity. So you're going to spend a little time getting your files organized on your laptop. Okay? And I've got the screenshot here. I'll just go here. Okay. All right. Rule number 1, keep all your files in this My Documents folder. Do not keep them on your desktop. Don't set up a folder on your desktop, because if your computer crashes, you have lost everything. Okay. Now, for the guys that are remote, the guys that are working out as the sales guys, I would recommend the same thing. I've seen lots of sales guys save everything on their desktop because they got frustrated with the synchronization process on the H drive. Their computer crashed and lost every file they had. So then they go to a thumb drive, and then they keep a thumb drive in their computer all the time. And then they lost the thumb drive. Oops, now they lost every single file they ever had. Oops. Or thumb drives crash, and they do crash sometimes. Thumb drive crash, and that actually happens more often in your computer. Save your files on this My Document. See that little swirly thing? That means it synchronizes. So when you are connected via VPN, or when you're connected here at the office, it will synchronize everything that you had in this folder back and forth. Everything that you did while you were gone, it'll synchronize to the server, and vice versa, which nothing's going to happen to your folder on the server because you weren't here. Okay? While you're here, you're actually working, your data, you're working off of the server. While you're here or when you're connected via VPN, so you'll notice that if you were at home and you have a slower connection and you lock on to using VPN, your folders here, your access to these folders will actually slow down some. That's because you're tapping into the server at home. Okay? So personally, what I do is when I'm at home, I won't use VPN until I need to use something on the internet, because your Outlook does not require a VPN connection. You can use Outlook at home just on a regular standard internet connection. It's secured in and of itself. Okay, and you can check that status down here. Let's turn back online. You can check your status down here in the bottom right-hand corner, and it'll tell you whether it's connected or not, whether it's synchronizing or not. Okay? And that makes all your access to your folders much faster because you're working directly off your hard drive. And then once you need to get something off the intranet, then you can use your VPN. You can log in using your VPN and access either DVS or things off the intranet that you have to get there. Okay? But keep all your files on your H drive. I'm begging you. Because if you do, and as long as you're a sales guy that occasionally comes in the store, it'll synchronize to the network, and then if your computer let me correct that. When your computer hard drive crashes, not if, but when your computer hard drive crashes someday, IT will have all your information between Outlook and your H drive. They'll have all your information to build you a new computer. Boom, you're up and running. And all you've lost is maybe if you're working at home for a day or two, you lost a day or so worth of data. That's it. Which, when you have a computer crash, that's pretty nice. Only lose a little bit of data. Okay, so that's item number one. I'll get off my soapbox on that one. Item number two is figure out how you're going to organize all these files. Okay, you can see how I've got different things labeled out here, different files, and I had to learn this when I was a service trainer at Caterpillar because we were dealing with all these pictures and data, service information. I was trying to keep it all organized, but keep different categories under your H drive, and then put subcategories underneath there. Think about it as a filing cabinet. This is your filing cabinet here, okay? And the nice part about it is it automatically keeps it alphabetically organized. You don't have to move your files around. But if you got, and I go to my sales folder. So under sales, I've got admin, business plan, which go under business plan. I've got each month's, whoops, that's 2010. Each month's worth of PINS data saved. Rather than going by month name, go by number, or you can go by 01-January if you want to. If you have a hard time remembering that, but my engineering mind works very well off the numbers. That'll help keep it organized, in sequence. Okay. Especially if you're getting reports on a regular basis, I'd recommend you keep these organized like that. Now, for like my sales programs for the sales guys, so the sales admin staff, I've got my AGCO programs, and every time Allison sends them out, I keep usually a rolling 12 months worth of programs. AGCO publishes programs quarterly, so I keep every quarter worth of programs, and revision 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever. They have quarterly programs they revise every month. Well, they might as well just call them monthly programs, but they're basically quarterly programs they revise every month. Okay, so I keep them all under here. Some of the special programs I'll keep separate under AGCO, and then delete them. I mean, you go through occasionally, spend a little time, go back through and delete stuff that you don't need anymore. Okay, don't just be a data hog. It's like being a pack rat at home. People have their attic, Karen. People have their attic completely packed full of stuff. You're not a pack rat? So the eyes go down like you were guilty. Okay. So you don't be a data pack rat either. You gotta go through and clean this stuff out. Like I said, I keep a rolling 12 months on these here. But some things, like price pages. I got price pages all the way back to 2005. Which come in very handy when we're dealing with used equipment and trying to figure out what's what. And AGCO doesn't publish them anymore, so I keep all my price pages on here. I started later on. I started just going with old price pages versus the current. So I just make a subfolder underneath there of old price pages, and under the okay. So these are the current 2011 price pages. If I want to look at something that was previous, I just look at that, and then you can sort them by date if you want to. Look at it again, and we'll do the reverse. Okay. So figure out how you're going to. You need to look at your own individual, your personal data on your hard drive to figure out how you're going to keep these organized. But have master folders, subfolders, and then maybe another subfolder underneath that. I mean, I've got sales, price pages, AGCO, and then I've got year by year. Okay. You get good at this, you can find the information you're looking for real fast when you need it, and that's pretty important to be able to find the information you're looking for when you need it, versus spending 5 or 10 minutes every time you need a piece of information and having to go find it. I mean, that's really a drag on your productivity. Questions on this? Start setting up your two biggest things I want you to remember on this part. One is use the H drive. Please use the H drive. Two is start setting up subfolders to help yourself keep all your information organized. Like if we go under Ag Division, I've got my Ag meetings underneath there, and I've got Ag meetings all the way back to 06. And there are times when I go back through and reference these because there's information that just isn't out there anymore. Like what our inventory turns were 6 years ago versus that. Okay. Okay. That's all I had. Nobody has any questions. I appreciate everybody's time. Last chance for questions on this? Absolutely.